If you've ever played Foxhole, you know it's not just a game. It's a battlefield where your mind is just as important as your rifle, and sometimes more important than your aim. I'm looking at you, Steve. We all saw you mag dump and miss your shots. There are already amazing guides out there on things like base building, combat mechanics, and logistics operations. But what about the real secret to success? The one thing that'll let you outsmart your enemies, outlast your teammates' complaints, and stay sane after the 15th time that somebody yells, "Where's the logi?" If you truly want to dominate your enemies, you need to start in the one place that most players forget, your mind. Today we're doing a deep dive on the battlefield of the brain. Because if you can master your mindset, you're not just playing the game, you're winning the war. The one thing I think every single player in Foxhole can benefit from is understanding value equals everything. Every time you spawn into the game, every round you shoot, every artillery shell that is sent through the skies, every tank that rolls on the front, every ounce of fuel that gets put in your truck was made by a player. Resources were gathered, refined, something was crafted, man hours were put into getting that item to the front line, and now you are using it. There is value in everything. One of my biggest tips is just being able to see that value and understand how you can be detrimental to the enemy faction. For one example, let's say you pick up a submachine gun, a couple magazines, and you're able to go and catch an enemy logi truck on the road and you disable it. Disabling that truck has not only wasted the time of that one player bringing the truck down to the front line, you've now destroyed the truck, and hopefully you've now gotten rid of 15 crates of items. This is a huge gain in value. You picking up that submachine gun and a couple magazines to be able to be that detrimental to the enemy, you've now gone positive in your value for the day. Another example where you go negative is you grab a whole bunch of stuff from the bunker, you run to the front line, you jump over a trench, and you get mowed down instantly, losing that stuff forever. In that scenario, you've now cost your faction X amount of value and gained the enemy faction X amount of value because they wasted somebody's resources and time. In that scenario where you jumped over the trench and run down the front line plays into my next tip, which is patience on the front line. I cannot stress this enough. This is one of the most important things you can do to stop wasting resources and time for people. Just being able to sit in the trench and wait for allied support, you can communicate between allies, you can hold defensive positions, avoid unnecessary deaths, and conserve ammo and equipment. Being patient on the front line also allows you to preserve vehicles, prioritize target selection, and really get the bigger picture of the front line. I have seen so many players think this is Call of Duty or Battlefield where you can just run across no man's land and make it and kill everybody in a trench. I hate to break it to you, that is not Foxhole. If you do that, you are going to lose everything you carried, everything that was brought down to the front line by a logi person and crafted by somebody on the back line. Patience isn't passive, it's a strategy. This approach not only keeps you alive, but ensures your faction's resources are spent achieving meaningful victories rather than patching up preventable mistakes. Having a faction over personal mindset is probably the biggest thing you can do in this game. Understanding that what you want isn't always what the faction needs. An example I'm going to use is tank building. A lot of people think these heavy tanks are super awesome and you're going to build it with a whole bunch of different materials. It's going to cost you tens of hours of gameplay time to build one of these, and you roll it down to the front and it gets blown up immediately. I hate to break it to you, but for the same time and effort, you could have built 15 40mm tanks and taken out a heavy tank yourself. Being able to see that faction over personal mindset also allows you to see the numbers over stats. We can use the same example with the tanks. One heavy tank, which costs a ton, may have the same value as 10 silver hands or 10 40mm tanks that can easily wipe out that heavy tank if it is not supported correctly. So yes, you can build really cool, expensive things to use in this game, and they're a lot of fun. But being able to see that the numbers really don't match up for some of those items is very, very important. Another tip that is just as important is being able to use the right tool for the job. I can't tell you how many times I've run up to the front line and seen a tank with 68mm, which is an anti-tank shell, shooting structures. But for you to be the most effective, would be to shoot at armor. 40mm is made for structures. Let a tank or a push gun shooting 40mm or infantry with HE grenades come up and take care of the structures. That is not your job to focus on structures if you have an anti-tank gun. Focus on the armor. Another example of that would be infantry using anti-infantry grenades to throw at tanks. I hate to break it to you, but the pineapple fragmentation grenade is not going to do a single thing against a tank. And so now you've used the grenade in a scenario where it does nothing and gains no value for your faction, when somebody could have used that and tossed it into a trench and cleared a trench for you. I really can't stress the importance of using the right tool for the job in these scenarios. Your mindset is the single most powerful tool you have in this game. It's more powerful than your rifle or even a tank. Whether it's staying patient on the front lines, keeping your cool under fire, or remembering that every bullet you shoot has the sweat of your faction behind it, mastering your mental game will give you the edge most players don't even think about. I appreciate you tuning in, and remember, Foxhole isn't just a game, it's a war, and the best weapon you can bring is a steady mind. If you're interested in joining a regiment or learning this game, I have a link tree down below where you can find our Legion Discord. I just want to shout out the 50 or 60 people that have joined the Discord. You guys have been awesome. It's been a blast playing with you guys so far. We've taught a lot of new players the game, so if you are interested in that, go check that out. I also want to thank now the almost 3,000 of you guys that have subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. I am a smaller channel, so all the likes and the comments and such not only help my channel, but I love seeing the interaction, and every comment, if you guys have questions or tips down below, leave them. I promise you I'll get around to them. I'm always watching that. So thank you to the 3,000 of you that have subscribed, and thanks to anybody who comes to check out this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.